I guess the challenging thing is, it's not so much that you wouldn't give any of that stuff if the opportunity arises. It's how many times does the opportunity arise. So you know what I'm saying? It's never about, let me just do this right now and get it over with. It's about living a lifestyle of the one coat lifestyle. It's not about always having one. It's about how many like opportunities am I having to give, not because, you know, these are happening organically every day, but because I'm kind of like living, you know, above my means or far away from the problem or whatever. And so I guess that's the thing. I was asking Chris about like a food pantry that you guys do or whatever, and he's like, well, you know, people come to the church on Saturdays. They know us as the church that has food, and so they come. I said, what if they knew us as the church that had food and went, you know, like, and so just kind of those questions, like, it's never that it's, like, it's a great thing to have food and give it away on Saturdays, but what if you actually gave the food away? Like, what if you went to them? And, you know, what if when you got all that information, you know, so that you can send them stuff, you showed up on a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday, and you constantly showed up, you know, like, you know, because for so long, Jesus always said, you know, like, he sent us out into the world, you know, and what we did with that is we just found a spot and said, all right, now you can come back to us, you know. And so it's never me saying, well, that food pantry's bad, because it's great. It's amazing. But that's just the beginning. And so, you know, the having a lot of coats and having the mindset that I'm going to give my coats away, that's just the beginning. And that's what Paul said, like, we have to work out our salvation daily. It's like this race that you're continually running. And so there's never a point where Paul even said, like, you know, don't think that I've like that I'm here. Like, I'm not, you know, I'm doing this just like you guys. And so, like, you know, our Christianity is progressive. And so, you know, as often as we, you know, spend time with those hurting, the more things we're going to shell out. And God's going to continue to bless us, and we're going to continue to bless others. Like, that's just the perpetual motion of following Christ. And so, that's all I want for you guys, is to keep following. That's it, you know, and it's going to become evident. And it's not obviously through my lack of, you know, things. It's through the abundance of joy. And that's the thing. Like, you're not like, oh man, that's a Christian because he has, you know, one coat. Like, man, it's a Christian because he has a lot of joy, but he just so happens to have one coat. You know, like, it's never about the things that we have or the things that we don't do. It's about the, you know, like, what's left and how much joy we have. And so it's really backwards and can get a tad confusing at times. But you know, I don't know. I don't think it's crazy to have a lot of stuff. I don't think it's crazy to have no stuff. I think it's crazy to have a lot of stuff in less relationships. You know, like, so there's a million, you know, ways that we can work this salvation out, you know. But there are a few solids that I think work. And it all begins with relationships. And so let God lead you as those relationships develop. And, you know, you might end up with nothing and, oddly enough, have everything. It works, you know, that's what happened with me. And so, but yet I do have stuff, and that's not the case. It's just sometimes we over-spiritualize things, and sometimes we don't take into consideration that, you know, that they're very spiritual things that need to be, you know, like, lived out. And so Bible's just you know, the Bible's not screwed up. We're pretty screwed up with it. And so as long as you keep asking the right questions, I feel like God's going to move in your life. And so, like, I'm still asking those questions. I still read this, and I'm like, seriously? Like, this is so irrational. And he's like, what's irrational is the fact that I keep giving to you and you keep screwing things up. And so is it really that bad that I'm asking you to forgive this person 77 times 7 when, you know, the times that you asked me was way more than that, you know, like.